3 secrets to dominating heads-up poker. You know, most players think heads-up is just poker with fewer people. That thinking is why they get crushed. Well, you're about to learn 3 core strategic shifts that turn heads-up play from a coin flip into a science. Mastering these concepts separates the winners from the players who just trade chips back and forth. Now, you'll want to stick around to the end because the 3rd secret builds on the first 2 and is the most powerful one, a bluffing technique that works specifically because you're head-to-head. Secret number 1. Weaponize the button. Now, in a full game, you can wait for your turn on the button. In heads-up, you are the button half of the time. It is the single biggest advantage in poker, and if you're not using it to attack, you're losing. Passivity gets you run over. Period. Your default play from the button should be to raise. Now, the goal isn't always to play a big pot. It's to steal the big blind's equity before the flop even comes out. Let's see this in action.
Okay, let's run.
Alright, you're on the button. You look down at Jack 4 suited. In a 6-player game, this is an easy fold. But in heads up, totally different story. Why? Because you have the position. Here, your opponent has a wide, undefended range in the big blind. You don't limp, you raise. Make it 6. The villain in the big blind calls. Now, this is standard. They're defending with all sorts of marginal hands. And the pot is now 12. The flop comes. Ace of hearts, 8 of diamonds, 2 of spades. A terrible flop for your Jack 4. You got nothing. But what does that villain have? Most of the time, they also have nothing. The ace is a scare card, but it's only one card. They missed this flop far more often than they hit it. The villain checks to you. Now, what would you do here? The amateur checks back, hoping to see a free card. The winning player understands the mission. You didn't raise pre-flop to hit a jack or a 4. You raised to put your opponent in a tough spot. So you bet. A standard continuation bet of 7 into the 12 pot is perfect. Now, this bet asks the villain a simple question. Did you connect with that flop? If they have a hand like 10-9 or pocket 5s, what can they do? The villain thinks for a moment and then folds. That's the power of the button. You didn't need cards. You needed aggression in position. Secret number 2. Recalibrate your hand values. The next major leak for players new to heads up is waiting for premium hands. They're still stuck in a full ring mindset, looking for pocket queens, kings, or aces.
Newsflash. Premium hands don't come often enough for you to consistently win heads up.
In heads up, the definition of a strong hand changes. Top pair is a monster. An ace with any kicker is often the best hand. You really just gotta adjust your thinking and be willing to play for stacks with hands that would normally make you real nervous in a multi-way pot. So let's look at an example. Alright, you're in the big blind with King 5 suited. The villain, on the button, makes a standard raise to 6. So you call. You've got a decent suited king, and you're closing the action. The pot is 12. The flop is perfect. King of hearts, 8 of clubs, 2 of diamonds. You hit top pair. In a 6-player game, you'd be worried about the kicker, but heads up, this is a monster hand. Now, the villain is raising with a massive range from the button. Any 2 cards, really. Your top pair is gold.
That's gold, Jerry. Gold!
So you check. Now this allows the villain to continue their aggression with all their bluffs. So the villain bets 7. Now the new pot is 19. Now you don't want to go slow play here. You have a strong hand, and it's time to build the pot. You check raise to 19. And this move puts a lot of pressure on their bluffs. So the villain calls. And the pot is now 50. The turn is the 4 of spades, a complete brick, and this changes nothing. You still got that top pair, and you are almost certain that you got the best hand. So what's the play here? Well, you bet for value. Do not slow down. Take a lead out for 35. Now this is a strong bet that puts the villain in a brutal spot. I mean, they could have a hand like pocket nines or a weak king, and they're gonna have a very tough time calling.
Reach me with that hand. Reach me with that hand. You cannot.
So, the villain tanks. And you, my friend, won without a showdown. All with top pair, weak kicker. That's the adjustment. Just stop waiting for aces. And heads up, top pair is very strong. Secret numero 3, exploit and adapt. So if full ring poker is about fundamentals, heads up poker is a street fight. You want to find your opponent's weakness and hammer it until they break. Are they folding too often to 3-bets? Then do it relentlessly. In heads up poker, a 3-bet means re-raising your opponent's raise. The big blind counts as the first bet, the small blind, button, often raises, that's the second bet, and if you're re-raising from the big blind, that's the 3-bet. Are they check folding the turn every time they miss? We'll barrel them into oblivion. Your strategy is to attack to their specific tendencies. Basically, you can run seemingly impossible bluffs because you have so much data on one player. Alright, so let's take a look at this one. So you're on the button with Queen Jack of spades. A great heads-up hand. So you raise to 6 and the villain calls. The pot is now 12. Now, throughout this match, you've noticed a pattern. The villain calls a lot on the flop and turn, but they shut down on the river if they're facing a big bet, unless they have a monster. They're sticky, but scared. The flop comes, 10 of spades, 8 of hearts, 2 of hearts. All right, you got yourself a backdoor flush draw. You also got 2 overcards and a gut shot straight draw. So the villain checks, and you bet 8. Now the villain calls. The pot is now 28. The turn is the king of spades. That's a great turn. Now you have an open-ended straight draw and a flush draw. You got yourself plenty of outs now. So the villain checks again. You are going to continue with the aggression, so you bet 20. Now this pressures any one-pair hands and builds the pot for when you hit. So the villain thinks for a long time and calls. The pot is now 68. Your remaining stack is 66. So now the river is the 4 of diamonds. Oof, a complete brick. You missed everything. Nothing but queen high now. The villain checks. Now this is the moment of truth. You know their pattern. They're going to be calling with a hand like 10-9 or pocket 8s on the flop and turn, but they hate calling big on the river. They get scared, and you have nothing. And the only way you could win would be to bluff. But you have nothing. Well, not really. You have a perfect story. Your line looks like you have a king, 2 pair, or even a set. So you move all in. Now, this is a massive bet, and it screams strength, and it puts the villain to the test for their entire stack. So they go deep into the tank, and stay true to their nature. Fold. You take down a huge pot with absolutely nothing. Now that play was not only about the cards, it was about identifying and exploiting a psychological weakness. Right spot, right move. Heads-up poker is a different game altogether. Weaponize that button, recalibrate your hand values, and exploit every pattern you see. If these heads-up strategies opened up your eyes, make sure you subscribe and let us know in the comments which heads-up scenario gives you the most trouble.